Good evening, everybody. It is finally time for our Formula Sprint 1 in 2024. My name is Eoin Harmon, and I'm delighted to be asked back to the commentary booth for another season here in Melbourne, Australia at Albert Park. And alongside me this evening, we have Ed Hunter. Ed, welcome back. How are you doing?
Oh, good, thanks. It's always great to be back for another. Well, I guess it's the first time I've been here for the start of an FS1 season, so certainly a first for me here in Melbourne and in the comms box. But always great to be alongside you, Eoin, and of course to have Remco, Zeeuw controlling the broadcast beautifully as always. And yeah, full grid of 15 teams, 30 cars here, so it's going to be quite crowded. But we got a lot of very, very high quality applicants to be the next champion to succeed Jack Mayer, who of course was FS1 champion last season and has moved up, of course, to Superlights this season.
That's correct, yeah. So a brand new champion will be crowned come the end of the season. And as we'll find out, if you weren't here for the pre-season test broadcast, there are plenty of fresh faces, either promoted from FS2 or they've taken another step in their GPVWC careers. They're here in FS1, and we'll meet them all as the session goes by. A full grid ready to go, and we have our first times on the board already, and it's Amari Watson setting the standard at 1:23.769, which is already better than the pole position time last year, if I have the correct screen up. Yeah, so 1:24.6 was Mike Wint's qualifying benchmark last year. So this brand new FS1 spec car is already very fast, Ed.
Indeed it is, and Amari Watson fastest in the first and final sectors. It was Isaac Clarke who's fastest in the middle sector, though. He set a 19 point something time, as we see Giuseppe Saracino just slotting into second then. So Watson, definitely one of the favourites, very, very popular here in FS1 and in GPV in general, to be honest, and with good reason. He's a lovely guy and a quick driver too, as we've seen just now. But Saracino could be a big, big threat here. And look at the Alpha Deltas. Russo and now Lucchini on a solid lap as well. Just slightly down on his best in the middle sector as he comes through the final few corners.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah, Alpha Delta, one of our returning teams. They'll be really determined to probably break in to the top 5 after finishing 7th in last year's championship. So, yeah, they'll feel their time is coming. And of course, we have Robin Mulling for the rookies. So on the other end of the scale, Mulling, representing the Team Rookie Monsters, is absolutely flying, and he's gone for purple. Oh, I just couldn't quite nail the final sector, so he remains in 4th. But yes, the opportunity for a surprise could certainly be sprung by our rookies.
Exactly. Of course, they're not complete rookies because they have competed in FS1 before, back in 2019. But yeah, Robin Mulling is definitely a new driver to GPV, although he did very, very well in the pre-season test. I think he was 3rd fastest, if I recall correctly. I've got a video coming up which will say exactly how quickly he was in pre-season testing. But yeah, great to see Robin really putting the Rookie Monsters car through its paces, as here is Amari Watson's teammate Harry Smith, who's just started his outlap then, so he's getting ready for his first run. But Frank Hamming looks like he's been doing his practice and his homework here at this Albert Park circuit. P2 at the moment, just under 2 tenths down, marginally, only 18 thousandths of a second ahead of Saracino. So impressive lap from Hamming.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, Mike Wint, for the first half of the 2023 season, he was firmly in the title race. But the second half of the season, the wheels came off completely for him. So hopefully the chance to regroup over the winter will have paid off, and we'll see if he can hook up a better lap next time, as obviously he's opted to abandon this one. But yeah, still another 9 minutes to go, nearly halfway through, of course. And Christopher Sfillo for KKR, or Kaizen Kota Racing to give them their full name. He is inside the top 10, but he'd love to improve that once he gets this out lap turned into a flying lap. We'll join him on board to see how he gets on around Albert Park. So yeah, the very tricky first chicane, a site of many crash seen in the past. Hopefully not tonight in our 2 races. Yeah, beautifully taken there, and now into turn 3 he goes. Yeah, using all that inside curve as he can. Now for the left-hander. Yes, very good job not to hit too much of the high curve on the outside. Turn in beautifully, and he's going to reach our first sector split now. It's nearly 3/10 down on his personal best. So yeah, he'll have to try and dig it out as we now head to the fast, flat-out section that used to have the chicane, but not anymore, of course. So let's see how he gets on heading into Sector 2, Ed.
Yep, and up front, the battle for pole is really heating up as we look at KKR, the local team, of course, for Matthew McKinnon. Oh, just through 11 and 12 there, the really high-speed left-right-hander, one after the other in quick succession. So you really have to be on your toes in 6th, 7th gear or so, as Danny has to slow right down at the back end of the circuit for turn 13. Then just 14, another high-speed that really pushes you out to the left-hand side. And now Brabham and Stewart, the last two. Oh no, it's Prost and number turn 16, which doesn't have a name then. The final two corners is Brabham and Jones at the first two corners, of course, but it was a purple middle sector for Zeeuw, and he was really putting it through its paces. Unfortunately, lost all that time in the final sector there, so he clearly mounted the curbs just a little bit too much, and it cost him. But look up front, Lucchini now has gone second fastest, ahead of Viktor Ivanov, who I was just about to talk about, and now Saracino is setting the middle sector absolutely alight there in the Griffone.
Yeah, this could be absolutely spectacular if he can just nail this final sector. Get 2 out of 3 very strong sectors if he's just down on his personal best there and kicking up a lot of grass, but he decides, no, I don't want to complete this lap. It's too risky to lose this amount of time. Menno Klont here in 11th position. He's got a green and a purple, so he's on course for a very, very competitive time, and we'll see if he can secure these final 4 corners as necessary. Let's see, through Ascari he was, now into Stewart. This looks strong to me, Ed. Let's see if it does finalize into a contender, a worthy contender of a lap time. Here we go. Foot on the floor, DRS open. He's aiming for 123.59. Oh, he just misses out. So yeah, he's gained 3 positions though.
Yep, certainly a solid attempt there from Menno Klont. He was really pushing. Jack Nichols now sets a purple middle sector for Kings Racing, who've moved up to FS1 this season. As you look at Frank Hamming, who seems to have slowed down a little bit despite setting a purple middle sector though, so I think Frank Hamming, we might see him abandon this lap. Interestingly, HGP have gone for a slight green livery this season. It always seems to be a different colour. And right over the curb goes Jack Nichols. And a bumpy bucking Bronco ride for Nichols as he rejoins the track there. And that's a big shame for him, down in 17th position. That looked like a promising lap up until that point. So he'll have to regroup, reset, and try again in the final 5 minutes. But Watson, now 2 tenths ahead of Lucchini. He just seems to keep getting faster and faster. Maybe that's the power of positive thinking, because Watson went in with such a great attitude, had loads of people cheering him on, and in a way it's not surprising to see him so on top at the moment, because he was one of the favourites going in.
Yeah, he's definitely been tipped for success this season, and Carlos Martin really gave him a lot to think about because of how impressive he was last season. Now that he's promoted up to Super League, I believe, with TOP, ironically enough in some regards, but Dabrowski for Hyperion here, he'll want to try and reach that crucial top 15 where his teammate Zabinski currently sits. So we'll see if... oh no, he's lost the back end there, so better off just scrapping that lap and retrying. And then we have another brand new team, MS Performance, with Ivanov. Oh, look at this, Ed. He's got the purple in Sector 2, so there seems to be pace left behind by Watson in Sector 2. A lot of purples there, but it is the 3rd sector that's tripping people up.
Yeah, Saracino actually goes fastest in the 1st sector, 29.8 for the Griffone driver. But here comes Viktor Ivanov, reigning FSR Pro Champion, of course, in another single-seater R-Vector 2 Championship. Powers towards the line. Is it going to be pole position for the Bulgarian? It is provisional pole. Superb lap there to just pip Omari Watson there. 123.545.
Yeah, unreal lap there. Now here's the Griffone of Saracino. Here he goes. He's also competing strongly, of course, after setting that purple Sector 1. Just needs to guide the car gently around, and now he can open the DRS, push to the line. He needs the 123.5. It's going to be mighty close. Oh, 200ths. That's all that separates him. But now Watson, in a blink of an eye, has lost both of those front row slots and have to try again in these final 3 minutes. And Isaac Clarke, here we go. Can he do a better job here?
Oh, the pick slate looked a little sideways there, so he's absolutely hustling that car. Is Clarke, former Super League driver, the American, as the rear end is just twitching all over the place, but somehow he keeps it on track. That was a brilliant middle sector as well. He comes towards the line. What's it going to be for the pick slate esports driver? It's P9. There we go. So there's this huge gaggle of cars behind Menno Klomp, but the top 6 all within 3/10 of each other, down from Ivanov to Harry Smith. So it's very, very close. Tiny millimetric margins deciding this pole position battle. Eoin.
Absolutely, and yeah, it's worth mentioning the tweak to the rules where the top 15 drivers will have to start on the compound that they set their best time on. So that will change the dynamics of a lot of strategies, to be honest. So perhaps the P16 will have to think outside the box and figure out how to beat the drivers who will be most likely using soft tires. Luke Mitchell for the Lunark team, one of the heartwarming stories of last season. After Butler Motorsport closed their doors, Lunark took over and they were absolutely incredible in the half season that they got to do. So now they have a chance to begin from zero with everyone else, and they will be definitely aiming as high as possible.
100% Owen. So Lunark, who were very, very impressive, took 2 wins last season in the hands of Moritz Kropp, and now they've got FS2 champion Luke Mitchell and Bradley Sellers, who of course was very, very competitive in Academy, has had a few outings in FS2. Very, very strong endurance racing driver as well, Bradley Sellers, for Rookie Monsters, funnily enough. So now he's competing sort of against his own team, as that's well over the curb there from Luke Mitchell. So full commitment then with 1 minute to go. And this pole battle, I think it's going to go either way, really, between this top 6, as we see Russo gain a place past Mike Quint into the top 5.
Yeah, this is really, really impressive from Alpha Delta to get double top 5 as things stand. The best combined performance from a team thus far. Frank Hamming here for HGP will want to get his season off to the best possible start. He is Mr. Consistent in many regards, and he'll want to go all the way to the top of the podium as many times as possible here in 2024. So with this lap just a little shy of a personal best, he may have to abandon it or try and rebuild himself. But now Menno Klomp has a very, very handy lap building here, Ed. So might not be purple anymore. Depends if there's any other times being set. But it is really, really tight. Oh no, the slide. That's going to cost him.
Yeah, so those few crucial thousandths of a second ebbing away here, but can Menno Klomp improve on his 9th position here? He cannot. It was all lost in that final sector there. Nearly 5 attempts lost alone in that part of the track in isolation. But checkered flag is out now. So Saracino, Watson, they are done. It's only Ivanov, Lucchini, Russo, as we see Lucchino really just kick up the dust there through 11 and 12. DRS wide open then. It's not looking too good in the first sector. Let's see what the split is in the middle as we see. Oh, good lap by, is that Russo to hold on to? Round goes Lucchini.
That's a scary one, to be honest, losing it there and coming back onto the track. Of course, the private qualifying session means no one will be impeded. But yeah, to lose it there and then come back on the track before the second to last corner, even off. This is potentially the clincher here. 1 purple, 1 yellow sector. And if he keeps the rear end under control now, he decides to abandon it. So it's down to Frank Hamming. Frank Hamming is the strongest contender for a pole. Can he do it? The 125, the 123.5s? No, it's a 123.6. So it's P4 for the Dutchman. Really, really close. But nevertheless, 4th place is, that's a mighty position to begin the season. And Mike Quint there, P5, just finishing a lap there. So nearly a strong result for the Multiforce driver. And Tom Satherley, who's come in for MS Performance. Our notes obviously had Cass Rietveld in that seat, but Satterley has been nominated to take it over instead. And P12 is mighty strong so far.
It even still says Rietveldt's last name on the side of the car, just like the sister car that's on pole position says Ivanov's name on the side. So Savily will have to get the spray can out before the next race if he wants to take that seat full time, I guess. But fantastic qualifying session there. Just so tight, really, especially between the top 4 or 5 there. There was just so little to choose between them, but a very, very deserved first pole, first time out for Ivanov.
Many congratulations to Ivanov there, getting pole position in his first attempt with his new team. Giuseppe Saracino for Griffon lining up there in second place ahead of Watson, Hamming, Quint, Lucchini, Russo, Smith, Tylene and Klon. So yeah, in fairness to Tylene, he snuck in there and a top 10 spot for himself there. And then the remaining 5 drivers who will have to start on their soft tires for their hot laps: Isaac Clark, Tom Satterley, Robin Muhling, Patrick Roszak and Wopke Hoekstra. Then we have Philip Koenig, Matthew Sabinski and Matthias Dabrowski together 17th and 18th, Christopher Svillo and Jack Nichols in the top 20. Luke Mitchell, the last driver to be within 1 second of the pole sitter, in 21st. Then we've Mitchell, Malm, Van Sand, Scott, Sellers, Van der Smissen, Alber, De Vries, Moat and Beckes there 29th. And we should have one more name. By his lonesome. Let's see. There we go. It is Luke Mitchell, so he didn't actually get a registered time, I'm afraid. But I know it's a bit of a duplicate, is it? So yeah, Luke was 21st. Yeah, it could be duplicate, yeah.
He's not getting mixed up with his brother, Scott Mitchell, Mom, is he, for King's Racing?
No, hopefully not. But yeah, he did set a time, but he may have just backed out the serve and he's back in again. So bit of a confusing ending there to the rundown. But without further ado, Ed, do you want to present your season preview?
Yep, absolutely. So let's get to know all the teams and drivers and taking part in FS1 in 2024. Netrex Grand Prix. The Italian Netrex outfit has been sim racing since 1998, but has only competed in GPV since 2019. Last season in FS1, they were second in the standings after taking 6 victories. Leading their charge will be Omari Watson, who embarks upon his 3rd full season in the category. Last year, the popular British driver was 8th in the points for Netrex, taking the reverse group win at Monza, along with 3 other podiums. However, he did occasionally make mistakes under pressure, which cost him a significant chunk of points. Joining him will be fellow countryman and Netrex stalwart Harry Smith, who took 2 10th places for Netrex in the season finale at Interlagos. He should be able to back Watson up if he can continue to score decent points. Multiforce GP. The Maltese team had a dream debut run to the FS1 title in 2011, but they've never quite matched those heights since. Last season started very strongly indeed for the team, with Mike Quint taking 7 podium finishes and his first FS1 win at the Nürburgring, putting him in the lead of the championship. But then technical and hardware gremlins reared their head and derailed their title challenge, meaning Quint could only finish 2 races in the second half of the season. Despite this, he still finished 7th in the championship. The team instead had to rely on fellow Dutchman Menno Klont, a former race winner who was only able to finish in the top 10 3 times. Both drivers return for 2024, and everyone at Multiforce will be crossing their fingers for better luck this time around. HGP Motorsport. After finishing in the top 3 2 years in a row, Dutch squad HGP fell down to 6th in 2023 in their first ever winless season. Not for lack of effort though, as lead driver Frank Hamming finished top 4 in the standings for the 3rd year running after scoring 4 podiums, including a penalty that saw him lose the win in Singapore. His experienced teammate and fellow Dutchman Wopke Hoekstra did not fare as well, finishing in the top 10 only twice. Hoekstra was a race winner as recently as 2017 and will be looking to recapture his earlier form after a few tough seasons. Alpha Delta Racing. Entering their 3rd season in FS1, the Canadian ADR team have finished 7th in the team's table 2 years in a row. They'll be hoping to add to their 2 podiums from last season by continuing with their all-Italian lineup. Mirko Lucchini had the bigger peak, scoring second place at Spa and ending the season 14th in the points, but it was teammate Federico Russo who was the slightly more consistent driver, taking a podium in his home race at Monza on the way to 12th in the drivers' standings. Both are good qualifiers with little to choose between them, but need to stay out of trouble in the races to score big points more consistently. Parallax Volpino Racing. 1974's The Parallax View is a cult classic political thriller about assassinations, paranoia, and an insidious and shadowy conspiracy. Parallax Volpino, on the other hand, are an Italian GPV team which took 2 wins and 7 podiums on their way to 8th in the standings last season. Patrick Rozak started 2023 well with 4 top 7 finishes. The only conspiracy is that he then never finished inside the top 10 again and retired from 8 races. The Polish driver will hope to do better this time around, and he's joined by Hungarian rookie Balázs Bekis, who's keen to make an impression on his GPV debut. Lunark. Based in Silverstone, England, the Lunark team were a very welcome addition to the field, blasting out of the stratosphere halfway through 2023 and taking 7 podiums and a pair of victories on their way to an impressive 9th in the team's table. Bradley Sellers has been very successful driving for rookie monsters in endurance racing, and in 2023 he scored points in 5 FS2 races and was a frontrunner in Academy. He's joined by fellow Englishman and reigning FS2 champion Luke Mitchell, who had a few test flights with Rowan GP last year, his best finish being 6th at the Nürburgring. Will 2024 see Lunark blast off once more, or crash down to earth with a bump? Hyperion Esports. Named after one of the moons of Saturn, this Polish team are reigning champions in the esports endurance LMP2 class. In FS1 though, they were 11th. Mateusz Zabinski returns for his 4th season in FS1. Last year started well with 5 top 10 finishes, including a 3rd in Bahrain's reverse grid encounter. Sadly, his results tailed off thereafter with only 1 more top 10 finish. Zabinski will be hoping to show up more often this year. Joining him will be fellow countryman and namesake Mateusz Dabrowski, an excellent defensive driver and race winner in FS2 who previously drove for the team in FS1 and Superlights. Griffone Esports. Last year, Davide Capruzzi's team completed his EP lap and came 13th in the team standings. For their sophomore season, their logo has changed to that of the mythological beast, the mighty Griffin. Last season, the team scored a single podium courtesy of Giuseppe Saracino in a one-off drive at Silverstone. Now the Italian, fresh off of finishing 4th in FSR Academy, is back for a full season assault and topped the timesheets in pre-season testing. Alongside him will be Germany's Philipp Koenig, a very experienced driver going for a bit of a lean period lately. He was only in the top 10 on 4 occasions last year. Can he and Saracino ride the Griffin into glorious flight? Pixelate Esports. 2023 was a very quiet debut for the team from Church Fenton in England, who placed 15th and last, having scored just 19 points between 11 different drivers entered across the campaign. This season, Stephen McCready's squad fields an entirely new lineup. First off, American Isaac Clarke returns to GPV after his part season in Super League in 2021, where he finished 2 races in 17th and 18th. Joining him would be German-South African rookie Jonas Abler. Both drivers come in with a lot to prove. Can Pixelate achieve higher fidelity this season? Kings Racing. The first of our 3 teams moving up from FS2 is Kings Racing. After 2 seasons in the top 3, Kings were 5th in 2023 and are now making their debut in GPV's 3rd tier. Sticking with the team is Scott Mitchell-Malm, who took victory in Saudi Arabia along with 2 podiums in Azerbaijan and Canada last year. He also has 31 FS1 races under his belt already. His teammate will once again be Jack Nichols, who had an incident-filled year on track. Despite these crashes, his season did end with a strong performance in mixed conditions at Interlagos to finish 3rd. The last time he was on the podium in FS1 was 12 years ago though, and he'll be eager to redeem himself in 2024. BMS Sun Edits Racing. Will the sun ever set on House Sonneveld's Dutch outfit? Not anytime soon, as they move up to FS1 for the first time after placing 8th in FS2 last season, with 5 podiums and a win at Spa. Justin van der Smissen sticks with the team after a solid campaign in FS2, taking 2nd place in Saudi Arabia, along with 7 other top 10 finishes. Joining him will be rookie and fellow Dutchman, David de Vrij. KKR Racing. The only Australian team in GPVWC, Matthew McKinnon's squad scored 6 podiums in their FS2 debut last season on the way to 9th. Moving with them up the ladder is Super Swede Luca Filin, who was 6th in the FS2 Drivers' Championship last year and took a first win from pole position in Brazil to round out the season. He's also driven 11 races in FS1 already, finishing 5th in the reverse grid at Abu Dhabi. Joining him is Latvian Kristas Vilo, who took part in 18 FS1 races for Parallax Volpino and Rowan GP, gaining a best finish of 12th. Team Rookie Monsters. Ironically enough, the Rookie Monsters team from Kingston upon Hull in England are no strangers to FS1, having last competed in the category back in 2019 where they finished 9th. But now Bradley Seller's team is back, and they brought 2 rookies in the form of Scotsman Daniel Scott, a winner of the iRacing 24 Hours of Spa and 12 Hours of Road Atlanta, and German Robin Mulling, who set the 3rd fastest time in pre-season testing. Don't write them off based on their lack of experience in this machinery. Rookie Monsters could well be the wildcards of FS1 this season. 100 to 1. Yes, the odds on Ben Constantine's new team winning are indeed long, but the team moniker suggests that's just the way that the sometime Academy and FS2 driver likes it. He's hired England's Archie Moat, who's done a total of 10 Academy races with a best finish of 5th. Alongside promising young Belgian Sandro Van Sand, who competed for Thomas Engay Esports last year, and also previously did a few FS1 races for Alpha Delta in 2022, placing 10th at Silverstone. MS Performance. Rounding out the FS1 grid is another debutant outfit run by Harry Smith and featuring 2 Netrex regulars. Dutchman Cas Rietveld was a champion in Formula Sim Racing Academy back in 2019, and he's also taken part in 15 Superlights races. After a stint as FSR president, he's keen to get back behind the wheel once again. His teammate is another successful FSR driver, Bulgaria's Viktor Ivanov, the reigning FSR Pro champion after an imperious 2023 campaign. If Ivanov can adapt quickly and get to grips with FS1, then he could surprise a lot of people.
And welcome back, everybody. I really hope you enjoyed that season preview, courtesy of Ed Hunter himself. And thank you very much for that. And that was really, really good.
No worries. I hope it was as fun to watch as it was to work on. But of course, there was one tiny error at the end, of course, which was that I couldn't have known about when I was making it, which was, of course, that Cas Rietveld has had to drop out at the last minute. Has been replaced by Tom Savelli. So as we said, it still says Rietveld on the side of the car. And I'm sure in a few rounds' time it will probably be changed to Tom's name. But Tom qualifying in the top 12 then, at very short notice, putting an excellent showing here in Melbourne. And very much showing that he deserves to be there and could well be a factor. Let's not rule out MS Performance in the teams table, as well as Ivanov obviously on pole, looking to add to that FSR Pro Championship from last year. So he's the Bulgarian very much on a roll at the moment, but he's got a real tough job, I think, in this race, Amari, to hold on to that pole position in this first stint.
Yeah, Albert Park does have that balance between the high speed and the corners. And if you're watching FS2 on Tuesday, that seems to be like a very competitive outing for them. So hopefully it'll be more the same here. It was Frank Hamming quickest in the warm-up. So we'll see if he's got his particular strategy dialed in. Very exciting times for him. I'm sure he'll really want to kick on this season. and of course a lot of the drivers that we met for the first time in that build-up. Let's see if they can cause surprises like Ivanov has done so already. No hesitation for him to get straight onto pole position. And the MS performance team will be really excited to see how they get on in their very first outing here in FS1. Formation lap will be beginning in earnest. We just have the remaining quarter drivers. I think there we go. They're all spawning in, ready to begin. So beautiful sunshine here in Melbourne. So no doubts about the weather. Everyone should hopefully have their alternate strategies prepared. We'll keep an eye out on all those drivers 16th and below. For now, let's talk about our complete grid, starting with Victor Ivanov, pole sitter for MS Performance, ahead of Giuseppe Saracino for Griffon Esports. Amari Watson, Frank Hamming, 3rd and 4th, with Mike Quint, Mirko Lucchini, Federico Russo, and Harry Smith completing the top 8. So Netrex and Alpha Delta looking competitive as a duo. And then top 10, Lucas Tylene and Menno Klont, with Isaac Clark and Robin Mulling, 11th and 12th. Patrick Roszak, Wopke Hoekstra, Philip Koenig, 13th through 15th, all on soft tyres. Matthew Sabinski, the first driver with the freedom of choice of his compound. His teammate Dabrowski for Hyperion there in 17th. Christopher Svillo, 18th. Jack Nichols and Scott Mitchell-Malm, 19th and 20th for the Kings Racing Team, promoted from FS2. And outside the top 20, Sandro Van Sand, Daniel Scott, Bradley Sellers, and Justin van der Smissen. Jonas Abler, David DeVries, Archie Mowat, and Balas Beckis in the top 28 positions there, 25th through 28th. Tom Satterley must have taken a grid drop there. He's all the way down to 29th, just ahead of Luke Mitchell. So that's an unusual one, but hopefully that will not distract him too much in his first appearance on short notice. So Ed, anything final on your mind that you'd like to bring up?
Yeah, interestingly, I think Savali being dropped has really caught out Philip Koenig, because now he's starting in the top 15 on the harder compound of tyres, like a lot of the people behind him, which is not in the rules. So he'll be hoping Savali gets by him into that 12th spot, otherwise Koenig could be in for a penalty here in the Griffon Esports car.
Yeah, so that's one thing well worth mentioning. So there we go. We have a new toolbar at the top there. That was something brand new to me anyway. So there we go. We have our tire strategies locked in there. So Koenig on the hards. So he jumped up a position. So that explains why he has the hard compound despite being in 15th. Svillo wants to buck the trend. He's on softs anyway. So yeah, a lot of different drivers will want to figure out what needs to be done here as the lights will illuminate. There we go.
Three Mitchell in the pits.
Yeah, it's a pit lane start. Okay, that makes sense. Here we go. 5 red lights. A brand new season begins here and now. And a gorgeous launch there for Ivanov. He's miles ahead already. Unbelievable start here. And we'll see if Hamming and Watson can defend their position. So Hamming looks to be in P2. Saracino down a position. Mike Quint up. Watson really struggling here. He's sinking without a trace.
Yeah, a horrible first couple of corners for Amari Watson. Oh, and a crash in the background. And somehow, as somebody's front wing has fallen off, and it is a little bit chaotic then in the mid-pack there as we look at the 2 Alpha Deltas then. This is Russo trying to hold off Luca Phelan, who's made a solid getaway. Has dragged Isaac Clark with him, Harry Smith and Watson, both dropping to 9th and 10th then from the first couple of rows. So this could not have gone much worse for Netrex GP. At least they're both still in the race and could recover. For their sister team, Ivanov, that was like a dream getaway. 6 tenths ahead of Frank Hamming, but Hamming looks very, very fired up on this opening lap. So Ivanov will have to have his wits about him to make sure he doesn't get jumped here. But I have a feeling this is going to turn into a race-long battle for second between Hamming, Saracino and Quint now.
Yeah, that is absolutely possible. We'll see how it gets on. So Watson really demoralized there, but he still has the opportunity to fight back. Zabinski, the best of the hard tire runners, currently 14th. So more yellows being waved, but nothing obvious on my screen. And there we go. Eoin from pole position leads the first lap of the brand new season, this 29 lap feature race to begin the affair. And here's Clont defending from Mulling. So one of our most experienced drivers in the FS1 championship, and then Mulling giving it his best shot as a newcomer. So let's see how they get on through the first sector here, the rights and the lefts, and the following right coming up before the braking zone for turn 6.
Yeah, this sort of long straight that's kind of, well, I say straight, it's flat out, but it is technically a corner coming up here. This section here, this is really where you're going to start to see some slipstreaming as they try and set up a move on the inside into turn 11 potentially. We are seeing some retirements from the race. Justin van der Smissen for VMS Sun Edits and Sandra Van Sant for 100 to 1. That's a big shame for those two. They're out at the end of the first lap, and joining them is Jonas Abler and Archie Muat. It looks like Vopke Hoekstra for HGP is also in trouble. So 100 to 1, their race did not last long at all. Their first attempt at FS1 with both drivers out, which is a shame for them. I know that feeling from FS2 a few days ago.
Yeah, absolutely gutting that they didn't get to put in a show here in this opening feature race, but of course they can try again in the sprint. Fastest lap even on, giving Frank Hamming a bit of a slip here. He's outside the 1 second barrier, so with DRS about to be activated in this next activation point, I think it will be the one coming up next time. So yeah, Eoin already clear of Hamming, and Saracino 3/4 of a second behind Hamming himself there. So yeah, this is an extraordinary start. Eoin has not put a foot wrong so far in the early goings.
Yeah, and just ahead of this Mulling Menno Klomp battle, there's not only Patrick Rozak, who's made a pretty decent start for Parallax Volpino, of course, but ahead of them the two Netrexes, Smith and Watson. I wonder if Omari is going to get on the buzzer to Harry and tell him to get out of the way here, as Omari's got the inside. Looks like they're racing fair and clean, and he just got the better exit here. Up the inside he goes into turn 11 and 12. So clean, clinical move from Omari Watson, the first of many, he hopes, as he now has to chase down Isaac Clarke for 8th position.
Yeah, on the button there, Ed, well done. So yeah, Isaac Clarke currently 8th, will try his best to keep clear of the hard charging Watson, losing out really badly on the launch. So now we have our first proper go of the DRS and all 4 of the activation zones. So here we go, on board with Patrick Roshak, who's trying to put Harry Smith down another place, but yeah, Eoin again with a fastest lap. He's just unflappable at the moment. So Hamming just has to keep the interval down as much as possible. And now Lucchini, P5, trying to catch up to Mike Quint. Let's see if there's any give in the run down to turn 6.
Yep, Lucchini, of course, was on the podium last season at Spa in a very, very wet affair in P2. Just missed out to Simon Frelick on that occasion. And Mike Quint, of course, had a lot of bad luck, a lot of races that he had to miss in the second half of last season. But Mulderforce have told us that they've addressed a lot of those issues. Mike Quint should be finishing a lot more races in 2024, as this is Savali going up the inside of one of the Lunarks for
Sellers.
And it's Bradley Sellers then. So Sellers is going to try and defend the inside for all he's worth. Savali, DRS wide open, but no way through. And he'll have to hold on down in 21st position then.
Yeah, but Satterley will try again here. Down the inside at turn 13. And he's made it count. Oh, wobbly. Oh, he got too eager on the power. But in fairness, that was good reaction driving from Sellers, making sure he didn't stick in his nose and cause an accident. So he had to be passive to make sure both of these drivers can carry on. I do give my full compliments there to Sellers for avoiding any risk of an accident.
Yes, and look at this. Menno Klont has got by Patrick Rozak for 11th place. So Menno, who only had 3 top 10 finishes last season, is on the verge of another if he can find a way past Harry Smith, who's actually set the fastest first sector of anyone despite falling out of the DRS zone range of his teammate then. So Harry Smith has really got to worry about his own race now, and Omari Watson is going to have to get on with it, as he's now 4 tenths behind Isaac Clarke and at the rear of a DRS train, all behind Luca Filin then, all of them within a second of one another.
Yeah, so Tylene up 3 places from his original grid slot. Isaac Clarke, yeah, he's just lost a little bit of time there, nothing to be exceptionally worried about. So here's our highest climbers and drivers who've lost most positions on the timing tower now. So Tylene +3, Watson -5, and then Satterley, of course, there starting at the back, has already earned 9 positions after he took the drop. And Mitchell, similarly, who was at the back of the grid, up 8 positions, Ed. So yeah, some really mighty contenders so far.
Yeah, that mistake for Clarke has let Watson through into P8 though. So that's gold dust for Netrex. Finally, some good luck for them. And now Russo, who has dropped behind Filin, who's had an impressive start for the local KKR team. He's really going to be looking to hold on to 6th place from Watson. That could be a very, very engrossing battle for the rest of this race, as we see yellow in the first sector as Saracino closes on Frank Hamming. The gap up front, 1.5 between Hamming and Ivanov then, and Hamming actually laps a tenth faster than Ivanov through the first sector then. So Victor, he can't get too complacent here. He's got to keep setting those consistent lap times, because these two especially are really going to try and close when it comes to the pit stops, and maybe perhaps try and even undercut Ivanov to try and get track position here, which is all important here in Melbourne.
Yeah, without a doubt. So yeah, 3 tenths gain there in the second sector for Hamming. So if he can pull that out one more time, then he will be back in the 1 second window, and he can get the DRS. Saracino on P3 out on his own at the moment. No threat behind just yet. But Quint will certainly have words to say about that, so he'll keep going. Russo there now with Tylene in the Alpha Delta sandwich, although I suppose there's a lot of extra air on top there, as Tylene has a little bit of a gap to Lucchini. But Russo will try his best to get P5 and P6 for Alpha Delta, watching out, of course, for Watson behind, who is back on a real charge here.
Yeah, interestingly, by the way, highest runner on the hard tyres, Zabinski, in 14th at the moment, just under 15 seconds behind Victor Ivanov then. So it'll be interesting to see, because the last thing that the leaders want when they come into pit is to be stuck behind one of the hard tyre runners. So Zabinski, Koenig, Dabrowski, Scott Mitchell-Malm, Jack Nichols, and the Kings cars, they're going to be the ones where you really want to make sure you don't get stuck behind them. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how that plays out in terms of the timing. And Ivanov will be pushing when it comes to the pit stop to build a big enough gap here. But if he starts losing time, he may have to come in before that happens.
Yeah, exactly. And I suppose the pit lane, it's quite moderate, I suppose, compared to other circuits we'll come across. But the fact that pit exit, you may be blindsided by a driver coming out of the pit. Oh yeah, pardon me. It's a big move by Watson on the inside of Russo. They're going to go wheel to wheel, but it's advantage Watson, and he gains another place back from to recover some of the lost territory. But he's lost a bit of rear traction there, and it'll give Russo and Clarke a bit of impetus to go on the attack again, now that Watson does not have any DRS to play with to use in defensive motion, and he does indeed lose the position back.
Yeah, and the knock-on effect of this is Isaac Clarke is drawn back alongside him then as they go towards turn 3. But we did see that great battle of Russo. Russo was very cooperative. Will Isaac Clarke give enough space? Yeah, there we go, backing right out to let Murray Watson retake that 8th position. So this is the benefit of having people like you, that they leave plenty of space for you when you're battling. But those were some nice fights then in this battle for what is currently 7th position. Good news for Luca Filin, though. He's pulled a 1.5 second gap as Hamming has closed to 1.3 behind Ivanov. I wonder if having Saracino right on his gearbox has given him a bit of a hurry up here.
Yeah, definitely Hamming has picked up a lot of pace. He's taking more time, and that's trouble for Russo. He's going to resort to the grass, and Watson spins. 270-degree spin. Now he recovers it. That'll be Rorschach getting through, and also Clant. So thank goodness no contact was made by any of the drivers speeding through the chicane.
Oh, that Netrex looks a bit damaged, Eoin. And so 2 bad moments. One, squeezing Russo into the wall. I think he thought that Russo backed out and he had a bit more space on the outside to play with, and unfortunately he didn't. And then cutting across the chicane and spinning that 270-degree spectacular
Probably
spin.
more
Look at this.
150-degree. I got that totally wrong. My bad maths.
Well, this has forced him into an early stop, though, for the mediums, hasn't it? So this has really compromised Netrex's race.
That's brutal without any sugar coating on top. So Watson at risk of no points whatsoever. So he'll have to boot on the hard tire and just hope he can make it to the end. And of course, the morale for Harry Smith, seeing his teammate drop off like that, a sudden error after turn 12, getting on the gravel. Indeed, Russo will be disappointed, but he can carry on for another stint. It's not the end of the world for him in 10th. But Roszak, no disappointment for him. He made the big gains, and he has the chance to catch the other Netrex driver and put himself in P8 for Parallax Volpino.
Yeah, Tom Parker in the chat says, gotta say that one's on Omari though, sadly. So sympathy from everyone up and down the paddock. I said it specifically in the intro, didn't I? Just before the race started, that he needs to cut down on the mistakes, and unfortunately one crept in there though. But there will be another race later on that Omari can potentially redeem himself in, and who knows, maybe that early undercut here could give him track position to defend with 20 laps to go though, and he's pretty much the only one of the front runners to make a pit stop down in 24th position. I think he's come out ahead of Vopke Hoekstra, behind Daniel Scott, who I believe is yet to make a stop in the second of the Rookie Monsters cars. Yep, that's the case. As we look at Saracino still trying to close and put pressure on Frank Hamming for second then, and Victor Ivanov still managing that 1.3 second gap. I don't think Ivanov is panicking particularly at the moment, but he is seeing a lapped car. That's one of the very wide on the entry there to 6 and 7 there, and so lucky he didn't lose it on the grass. But you could tell he's just being a little bit put off by the rookie monster, and that is going to allow Hamming and Saracino to close ever so slightly there. So the first mistake of the race, a little bit of pressure creeping in for the MS Performance driver.
Yeah, so the first, tiny error, but the blue flag should help him out. Yeah, he's just looking probably too far ahead of himself, and he cut the grass. Now Harry Smith is in an awkward position here. He's Clark in front, he's Roszak behind, and in the dangerous chicane, where it can unravel in an instant. He's got to be alert to everything going on, but Roszak will go the long way around. Adaskari, maybe a bit too long. Oh, he's caught it beautifully now that the corner is more right angled. Federico Russo alert to that. So yeah, good job for Roszak to keep the car pointed in the right direction. And he may be a bit exposed. Of course, the DRS will help him for the start-finish straight. Menno Clonton, Robin Mouling just in the background there. Chance for Mouling to gain on Clont.
Yeah, that was a little bit ambitious from Roszak, just trying to brake as late as he could around the outside and hope that he would have the traction to hold on. Unfortunately, he didn't. It's Robin Mouling. Oh, gets a little bit sideways, opens to the DRS while he's recovering from that little sideways moment there. But he's absolutely pushing to keep the pressure on Menno Clont. So Mouling having a pretty solid opener here, running well in the points in the top 15 in 12th. As we see yellow in the final sector, is that Omari Watson in more trouble potentially now behind Luke Mitchell? He has gained a few positions ahead of Becky's and Scott.
Yeah, we'll see if he's okay to carry on. Should be absolutely fine. Now we have the Kings teammate. Mitchell Malm leads Nichols in formation here, and their job is to dislodge the Hyperion duo. Zubinski in 15th holds that final championship point. So let's see. Yeah, a lot of sparks being kicked up there. So fascinating duel in prospect. It's the Polish duo driving the Polish car versus the Englishman in the English back team there. So it should be really exciting to see how that goes. But Nichols, yeah, he's just got to follow his teammate for now. Maybe pit strategy will kick in later in the this race for the drivers on the hard tire. So yeah, for now, Nichols should follow Mitchell Malm, and if anything happens in front, then they should pounce. And Clark, I believe, has taken to pit lane here, Ed. So one of the earliest stops.
Yeah, there we go. The pick slate driver pitting out of the top 10 then, or a set of the harder compound tires. Also, behind the two Kings cars are the two Lunarks of Bradley Stullers and Luke Mitchell as well. So it feels like the pairs is a bit of a Noah's Ark, 13th through to 18th at the moment then. But Clark, he emerges 8 seconds now down on Luke Mitchell and 4 seconds ahead of Omari Watson there. So that's crucial for Pixelate then, that they've got a bit of a buffer to work with. But Omari Watson will be pushing to close that back up, because remember, he was fighting just ahead of Clark before that incident happened to him.
Yeah, precisely. So we'll see how it goes. I saw David DeVries for VMS Sun Edits also in the pits, so that should get him onto soft tires. Now on board with Mitchell Malm.
Rozak made a mistake here.
Yeah, Rozak. Yeah, spotted that all of a sudden. So let's see what happens. So Mitchell Malm should have a lot of momentum now. Maybe Rozak has burned up those softs a little too much, or made some sort of error. Malm should pull out to the outside and try to cut.
Something happened in the first sector, Owen. He was at a 41.1 in the first sector. Look at Scott Mitchell Malm weaving this way and that to try and pass through 13, 14, 15 and 16 here, but Rozak is just absolutely determined to get to the pits ahead, and does so as it looks like Ivanov has come in as well.
And this is crucial. Hamming will take the lead for the first time, and the plot of the overcut, we'll see if that can possibly work, but Saracino will want to use the opportunity now. It's a straight 1v1 fight for the gross lead at the moment. So Ivanov, has he found a solid space on the track? No opponents to think about. I think he has, in fairness, a decent slot in there for P9. And a wobble for both drivers there, but they've caught it just fine. Well, Hamming has the better exit.
Yeah, Omari Watson, by the way, setting 126 frees on the hard tyres that he switched to a few laps ago. Whereas the leaders are in the 127 1s, 27 6s for Quint and Filin. So that shows you the difference, and that's why Victor Ivanov has come in for his hard tyres then. And he set a good middle sector there, 20.5. There we go, they're responding, and they've got to, because they'll just lose too much ground to Ivanov if they don't.
Very much so, and Quint also in the pits, so Tylene, we'll see what he decides to do. There we go, pulling in to pit lane. That should be a switch to new tires. So Tylene also in the pits. Oh no, Tylene carries on. Sorry, he carries on. It's Saracino in the pits.
Yeah, Saracino still looking for his second podium in FS1 after getting one for the same team, of course, as EP Lab before they rebranded to Griffon at Silverstone last year. But this is great for the local Australian KKR team, for Matthew McKinnon's squad, as Luca Filin, the Super Swede, leads on those old tyres. Harry Smith also staying out 2.6 seconds ahead of Victor Ivanov. So potentially, if Smith stays out long enough here, he could be a bit of a roadblock in at least the first sector for Ivanov, depending on how this works out. So that could play in the favour of Hamming and Saracino, as Ivanov sets a purple first sector, 30.6. He's absolutely pushing to try and get the best out of these hard tyres and make sure that Harry Smith is not a factor here.
Yeah, so the undercut paid off a slight bit there for Ivanov, with 3 seconds ahead now, and he has set a purple first sector time. So yeah, Hamming needs to warm up those tires ASAP. We're watching Koenig now. Let's see if he can catch Dabrowski for 6th position. Not at the moment though. Dabrowski
These two haven't hit yet as well. So
exactly, yeah, they're on the long
slightly
stint.
artificial battle.
Yeah, so maybe they've 2 or 3 more laps on these tires before they need to switch for the optimum pace advantage. But we'll see. With Zubinski in behind, he can back up his teammate. Maybe he could pit earlier. Ivanov, no surprise there, getting the fastest lap. Harry Smith now pulling in for his tire change, with the Lunark of Mitchell in the background also ready for a change.
Yeah, and the problem for Omari Watson coming into it, he's had to make so many more overtakes than he would ideally have liked. And once more, he's now 9/10 behind Federico Russo, who of course pit 2 laps ago. And he's going to be on 6-lap old hard tyres, is Omari Watson, as we see Ivanov absolutely pushing the limits, and perhaps even a little bit beyond there. That just seems like he's just really flying and desperate to pull as big a gap to Frank Hamming as possible as he tries to eat into that 10-second gap to Luca Phelan, which is eroding rapidly. 25.7 here, so Ivanov, I think, is very, very keen to get the fastest lap. Now he's got less fuel in the car.
Yeah, this is his chance to really prove his dominance. And Lucchini there should be a routine pass.
Yeah, the Kings cars have swapped positions, haven't they? Because now Mitchell Marm is behind Nichols. So clearly there was a little bit of team orders there.
It seems pretty logical there to give Nichols a chance to push, with Lucchini looking very quick in the second sector. Purple split for him there. Mike Quint, now that he is back on full pace, he has to try and chase down Zubinski there. New fast lap from Hamming, so maybe the overcut could gain him a little bit of time later in the stint, but yeah, he has to keep that going to put Ivanov under any sort of stress. On board now with Federico Russo.
Yeah, being stuck behind Isaac Clarke has really hurt Russo, because Luca Phelan is pit running long and come out comfortably ahead of Scott Mitchell Marm. Here we go. Russo up the inside into turn 3. Is he going to get cut off by Isaac Clarke? Oh, as Clarke gets very loose on exit.
Yeah, he has to be careful there, Isaac. Russo will take full advantage of any more misdeeds with traction.
Yeah, and Watson's closing, because Watson was the one who put him in the wall earlier, so no love lost between these two. They're going to have to be careful then. Watson's going to get a lovely tow with the DRS then as they approach turn 11 once more. Oh, I've seen this before, Aaron. This is a car crash waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's deja vu, but this time with Watson following rather than defending, kicking up a little bit of dust there from the Astro and grass on corner exit. Now the braking's on. He's keeping well enough away, so he'll try the final 3 corners to see if he can build up a little bit of a boost. And now, Russo back end. It may have been a bit misleading with the camera angle, but yeah, he really wants to overtake Clarke, and really, yeah, there we go. You can see some of the hard tire drivers pitting. So Russo, to make his race feasible, he needs to make this pass and not waste any more time. He really is going for it.
Yeah, Zubinski is the only hard tyre runner yet to pit, and now Mike Quint has just got past him as well. So Zubinski's times in the 1:27.6 is really starting to drop everyone else. The leaders are sitting at 1:25.8. Oh, and wide goes Clarke, and that's Russo through again. So Clarke just really struggling on exit at turn 3 there.
Yeah, that was a scary one. Thankfully, Watson in behind could see what was going on, and while he couldn't make the pass stick, he didn't dive in unnecessarily and ruin things for both drivers. But yeah, I'm sure with those the tires with the dirt and gravel on them could be a little bit slow for another half a minute. So we'll see if Watson can pull out a DRS pass. Maybe not now. It seems it's too far away for him. But yeah, a start-finish straight into turn 3 attack seems logical to me. Oh no!
He does that, but somehow he holds on to that one. Does Isaac Clarke? So amazing car control from the American as Koenig hits from 4th position, along with Zubinski then. So they were the main 2 that had not hit yet, having started on the hard tyre. So this is going to promote all of these drivers into the top 10.
Yeah, so they're back in the top 10 with those drivers who had started on the hard tyres.
Or Amari, he's right where he started at the end of the first lap, isn't he?
He is indeed. So a chance to regroup all over again after 2 individual errors. I suppose the start, I didn't see exactly what happened, but yeah, losing so many places, and then that spin after the 11-12 chicane, that really cost him dearly. So with Clarke really feeling the heat here, Watson has to he has to make one move count, because if Clarke can't calm down, then yeah, it will be just wasting both their time. At the moment, yeah, Clarke seems to enjoy these longer full throttle sections compared to Watson, who's probably better in the corners.
Yeah, and that might be down to how he set up the car for qualifying, but clearly it's not quite got the straight line speed advantage compared to some of the others, and we know how crucial that can be in this middle sector as well. The Lunax goes well off track. I think that may have been Luke Mitchell.
It is Luke Mitchell, yeah. Sellers is ahead. Sellers 15.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll see how Mitchell carries on there. His tires, of course, will also be a little bit dirty, and he's going to watch out for any
Remember,
attacks.
these guys have all pit for the softs, haven't they?
Yes.
Everyone from Jack Nicholls down, essentially, and Koenig and Dabrowski as well, along with Bradley Sellers, of course, just ahead of them. So that's why Rozak is just a bit of a sitting duck at the moment. Right,
Jar, and of course, yeah, Roshak on the defensive here. Great exit there, has to be said, from the Hyperion of Zabinski, but it's just a little bit too much to ask to overtake Nicholls here. Yeah, Roshak, he's probably just hoping for something to happen in front of him, because with these drivers fiercely pushing hard on these superior soft tires in terms of the lap times for their peak performance, yeah, it is really difficult for Roshak, but he's got to manage, see how he does. But Zubinski has really built up a lap time here. He's gained a lot of time on Nicholls. Now he's got DRS, but it's too much to ask into 11 and 12. So sit back and get a launch. Oh, hits the curb heavily, does Nicholls. And for the second time, I think he's made that excursion onto the gravel.
Yeah, but luckily he kept it in a straight line and saved it. So not a total disaster for Jack Nicholls. Still could be a couple of chances to nab out one or a point or two at the end of this. But in terms of the soft tire runners, Dabrowski now is leading them ahead of Koenig. The problem is he's got quite a big gap, 7 seconds then to Menno Klont that he's got to close. And he's got to do so with Philip Koenig and Bradley Sellers all over the back of him, as we look here at the back of the hard tire sort of train with Robin Mulling. Now, after having a bit of difficulties earlier on, losing a bit of time, now closing right back on Harry Smith, who's now going to have to get defensive to protect his teammate, who's on the oldest tyres in this pack of cars. So Netrex, who looked so great after qualifying, now looking vulnerable as they struggle to hold on to positions in the top 10.
Yeah, so it could come down to the last minute approaches from these drivers who have been able to start on the hards and then convert to softs, as we now move our cameras over to the battle for 16. But it is Roshak who has, of course, the hard tires on. He's now dropped back. Nicholls must have overtaken him after recovering from that mistake. Roshak, he's got to put up with the misery that his strategy has to inevitably deal with. So yeah, if he can at least stay in the top 20, that would be a reasonable success. With the random reverse grid draw, not relevant to drivers outside the points, but yeah, the fact that he could gain some points in that sprint race, that'll be something to keep him focused and try and hang on in there.
And look at this. So Hamming, who coming out of the pits was matching Ivanov's pace, they were dueling it away for fastest lap for a while before Ivanov snatched it back. Now he's started to lap a bit slower and is falling into the clutches of Saracino here, who's just 4 tenths behind and using the DRS to good effect here as they approach turn 11 then. So Griffone, fancy second place here. Frank Hamming is going to have to get defensive to hold on to second in this race.
Yeah, that's for sure. So Saracino, this has proven to be a really impressive stint for him, reeling in that extra bit of time after pitting on the same lap as Hamming. So yeah, he's almost there.
I wonder if Frank is taking too much out of those tyres as we see a penalty for Rozak. Oh no. Yeah. Down in 18th. After having such a good start to this race, Rozak, who was running 11th for quite a while in the first stint, is now going to probably finish outside the top 20 then with that penalty applied. So that's a big shame for Parallax Volpino. They would have hoped for a lot better here with his teammate Balazs Becky's only in 22nd is the rookie, about 25 seconds behind Tom Savelli.
Yeah, without a doubt, Parallax. They would have been fancying themselves perhaps as one of the best of the rest teams, having done so well.
As I said in the intro.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, memorized, of course. Yeah, with Maciej Hille, he was a star for them last season, but he's moved on. But Watson, he's got his teammate behind now, and Clark has not put another foot wrong since that previous error that lost in the position to Russo. So he's learned his lesson. There's a big queue of eager drivers behind him now. We have Muelling there in 11th and Menno Clant just outside the 3-car lengths, I suppose, behind Muelling in 12th. So yeah, there's just so much going on, and Isaac Clark just has to keep an eye on that rear view mirror to make sure he does not get a nasty surprise from one of these drivers who really wants position, such as Muelling. He's coming for Smith. The long way around is blocked. There's no way around there, but you could try again. Kicking up a lot of dust again. Is there a way through for Muelling? No, I suppose Harry Smith has enough slipstream to help him out.
And remember, Mari Watson is on 5-lap older tyres than Harry Smith, just behind him. So Harry Smith is potentially a bit quicker here. In fact, he was 4 tenths quicker the previous lap, although, of course, this is Watson being held up by Clark, who's very much dictating his pace here. So Harry Smith being backed into Robin Muelling, potentially, instead of having a Harry Smith come through here on the slightly fresher tyres, they can end up losing both places to Robin Muelling if they're not careful. So Mari has really got to judge this well if he wants to finish in the top 10.
Yeah, he might be thinking in the back of his mind that Clark is moving across the racing circuit, so that could be frowned upon by the stewards. But at the moment, I don't see any egregious rule breaking. It's probably just on the cusp of being a foul play there. But we'll see how he gets on. Muelling still enthusiastic for an attack. Nothing available thus far. Philip Koenig, a bit down the road from all these drivers, has set the fastest lap at 1:25.3, just shy of our ultimate qualifying pace, about 2 seconds, I suppose. Still no luck for Saracino in his bid to unsettle Hamming and gain the runner-up position, and still their lap times are roughly identical. We'll get a better picture coming now. Yeah, they're both 1:26.6 ahead.
Yeah, you can tell Hamming's got really good straight line speed in that middle sector, because middle sector for Saracino 20.1, 4 tenths quicker than Frank Hamming. But Hamming was able to hold ahead despite being only about 4 tenths ahead of Saracino. So Saracino needs to get a good run. Oh, as Robin Muelling pushes a little bit too hard out the final corner and makes contact with the wall on the left-hand side. So that really shows you he's putting absolutely everything, not only to keep Menno Clant behind, but to keep the pressure on the Netrex duo. And Harry Smith, desperately trying to, he doesn't know what to do really, because does he attack his teammate and go through, or does he defend like crazy? Here comes Robin Muelling, all squirrely on the brakes, and almost getting completely out of shape, and Menno Clant briefly gets alongside there.
Yeah, so Muelling almost lost all that hard-earned progress. Thankfully, his car control was spot on there. Menno Clant wants to secure healthy points for his team with Quint just off the podium there, all on his own in 4th. He'll be hoping for...
Don't forget, behind this, Eoin, is Dabrowski's lapping a second lap faster than all of them, 3.2 seconds behind. Menno Clant to the outside, has to back out of that one.
All right, Jar. Yeah, so the drivers on the softs will, without a doubt, be on the case here. You could have just briefly seen Dabrowski's car in the background. There it is for sure now, the sort of gold and blue. 5 laps for a race leader, even off now. He's just kept that 3-second buffer, nice and handy. But Zubinski versus Sellers for the final point. It's a fair fight between these two drivers on softs. And Zubinski, he wobbles, but it's fine. Maybe he'll have to rely on an attack into the 3rd and 4th corners. And you have a lot of drivers just outside reach of these two, such as Mitchell Malm and Sadali. So they'll be pushing as hard as they can. And Nichols, of course, they're in 17th. There you see him go now.
Yeah, Zubinski's got 2 lap fresher tyres than Bradley Sellers as well, so he's definitely got an advantage here. But the longer that he gets stuck behind, the more comfortable Bradley Sellers will get. That's Rozak again drifting after serving his penalty and getting completely sideways there. So just clearly holding on the throttle and the tyres, just crying enough there. And Scott Mitchell-Malm is looking very, very eager to get into 18th place here.
He knows Rocha is due for some sort of reprimand with the penalty. So he has to overtake him cleanly, or else he'll be completely self-sabotaging. He'll go around the outside, and that's how you do it. Well done, Scott. That is beautiful.
Yeah, that required quite a bit of cooperation as well from Patrick Rozak, as Harry Smith again having to just defend for his team. It's like there's a Netrex nightclub here, and Harry Smith is the bouncer trying to keep the riffraff in the form of the rookie monsters of Robin Mulling out. You can't park here, Robin. And up the front, Isaac Clarke just continuing to defend for his life in that Pixel 8. And this will be a great ride for Pixel 8 to start the season if Isaac Clarke can hold on.
That's right, yeah, it just needs to keep it going, just the American Clarke. He's been certainly fitting comfortably into that seat after one or two mistakes that have cost him time, but now that we're at the end of the final stretch of the race, almost there, he has started to really grow into the position with Pixel 8, and just needs to take a breath and just go for one last push to make sure he can net himself a nice healthy haul of points. Menno Clant will try again. Could it be that Mulling will back off? No, he will not. Good defense.
Yeah, well, Mulling knew he had the advantage there because Menno Clant wasn't quite near enough alongside. Even with the DRS, they both got the DRS, of course. And because Robin Mulling's having to defend here, that is allowing Harry Smith and Omari Watson to just get a little bit of buffer here, and they're being dropped into the clutches of the much quicker Dabrowski here. So Dabrowski could maybe snatch 12th or 11th here in these final two laps, as Harry Smith right on the back of Omari Watson, pushing him along.
Yeah, he's just begging his teammate, don't give up, just hang on in there, I've got your back. Yeah, maybe there'll be some way.
It's like you can hear the team radio at Netrex.
Yeah, we're getting the authentic feed in our brains, I suppose. Christopher Svillo, fastest lap. Unfortunately, he's way down in 25th, so it's probably just a final hurrah just to get some.
Oh, Saracino is past Hamming for second.
There you go. Yes, he's made the big pass. He's been building it up so long. Unfortunately, we didn't catch it on camera. Congratulations to Saracino for finally making that pass, and Hamming will have to make do with third place unless something were to happen. And Mulling still P10. Sorry, that would be a gain, wouldn't it? Yeah, Clarke has fallen off the pace. Yeah,
I saw Clarke hit the wall in the first sector. He went really, really wide going into turn 4. And that seems to have cost him because he's lost those 3 places there. And that was what was so important for Mulling to keep Menno Clant at bay, because that's put him in this position. Round the outside goes Isaac Clarke, though. Into the gravel. The tyre's crying enough on that Pixel 8. Such a shame for Isaac Clarke, holding on to that position in the top 8 for so long, and now dropping down into 12th. Now even Dabrowski may fancy his chance at him, because look at those tires. They are absolutely finished. He's pushed them far too hard in these last 15 laps he's been on them.
Yeah, Dabrowski is going to gobble him up here. Philip Koenig, Bradley Sellers also encouraged by the opportunity of pulling out an extra point or two for their own accounts, and indeed for the team. So Dabrowski on the outside line heading into turns 3 and then 4. It should be a gimme unless Clarke refuses to cooperate, but yeah, he's just too busy catching these slides. Pushed a little bit wide. Watch out for the in-step. Yes, he's avoided contact brilliantly, in fairness. So there we go. Dabrowski using that hard-to-soft strategy to best use of anyone. He's 12th, and Koenig will be next in line for the attack. So Griffon, excited by the opportunity or the possibility of a second place, will be rooting for Koenig here, the German, within reach of extra points, and bang into the wall. That's huge chance, and Clarke is out for sure. The 3 wheels or maybe 2 wheels on the wagon. He's lost everything. A courageous effort turns out to be a losing effort. He will not get anything for his performance. Final lap for race leader Ivanov. Ed, I can't believe that's so harsh.
Yeah, you saw the DRS open. He just got a little bit sideways, and unfortunately, those hard tyres just could not hold on. and one of them fell off completely, at least one, possibly two, as you say. And Harry Smith, meanwhile, sees the rookie monsters of Robin Mulling passing him. So Netrex are just about going to hold on to the top 10 unless Menno Klont has anything to say about it, getting past Omari Watson here. But yeah, as you say, big drama for Pixelate because that was a good chance of a top 15 finish gone. It means Zabinski is promoted into the final points paying position, 3.2 seconds ahead of Jack Nichols, as we see more drama up front then.
Yeah, this is incredible stuff here. Kurt McCallman in YouTube chat clarified that Isaac had a lag spike rather than hitting the wall. So yeah, it probably was the in-game rendering just showing him hitting the wall, but it wasn't him actually hitting the wall. But around the final corner, it's Victor Ivanov, a new name to the FS1 grid, has won it from pole position, and the brand new MS Performance team have absolutely shone here. And they
Mulling in trouble.
Trophy home already, and now Robin Mulling and Murray Watson neck and neck here into the third to last. And it's still Watson hanging on, so Smith has taken the baton for Netrex. And Watson just has to avoid the catastrophe of losing out. Menno Klont also in range. It may just be a little bit too late. Yes, it's P11 for the 14. There's checkered flag waving. So the big queue of cars on the alternate strategies there with the drivers on softs just out of range there. So Dabrowski got the 12th place from a hard to soft strategy. Jack Nichols in 16th, so he just missed out on points. Balas Becky's the brand new recruit for Parallax Volpino. He's the last driver on the lead lap, so we'll just give him his bit of screen time. Oh, he's not fully in the boundaries of the track there, cutting up some grass. But yeah, he'll just ease it to the finish, ideally, Ed.
Yeah, he probably wouldn't be too upset to finish only about within 25, 27 seconds of his teammate, although that is with Rosette having that penalty. But Becky's, at this point, it's all about getting experience under his belt. But wow, what a show. Pretty much that fight for fourth downwards was pretty exceptional, and some great drives in there. But of course, Ivanov, the standout, and the winner first time out. That's an ominous sign as we start this championship, Eoin.
Yeah, I certainly did not anticipate this, but Victor Ivanov is successful on his very first attempt as an MS Performance driver, and the brand new team celebrating an amazing win. Giuseppe Saracino gaining that second place. He worked so hard for it, with Frank Hamming trying his best, but P3 is his outcome. Mike Quint, I'm sure he'd be relieved just to get some solid points on the board after some of that devastating heartache in last season. The remainder of the top 10, Mirko Lucchini in 5th, Lucas Tiley in an anonymous race, but very, very pleasing result for the home team there, the Aussie team. Federico Russo, Harry Smith, Omari Watson, and Robin Mulling in the top 10 there. Menno Klont, Matthews Dabrowski, Philip Koenig, Bradley Sellers, and Matthew Zabinski all celebrate a points finish. Jack Nichols just missing out there. He's very close. Scott Mitchell-Malm, also of Kings Racing, in 17th, so he wasn't quite in range, but he'll be pleased just to get his first FS1 race done and dusted as a Kings Racing driver. Tom Satterley there, who started all the way down the back. His rookie performance for MS Performance will be successful, I think, in 18th. Then we have the Parallax Volpino duo, Roshak and Becky's, 19th and 20th. Daniel Scott, Wupke Hoekstra, and David De Vries, they all had some trouble, I think, at the start, so they were a lap down. And a fair few retirements. We didn't see exactly what happened at the beginning, but it was a misfortune for Isaac Clark there, as we saw, with a handful of laps to go. Christopher Svillo, Luke Mitchell, Archie Mowat, Jonas Abler, Justin van der Smissen, and Sandro van Sand all retiring. So they'll be hopefully confident to try again in the sprint. So Ed, what did you make of that? Major surprise at the top.
Well, I think having commentated on the Evenhov's championship winning FSR Pro season, I was probably one of the few people not too surprised to see him running up front, but I didn't expect him quite to be so dominant. Saracino was also a surprise, but with that late move on Hamming, I thought Saracino carrying through some excellent form at the moment himself. And Phylan, I think, on his first drive in FS1 to finish P6, he put in a decent move on Russo. You said it was an anonymous race, but he did exactly, I think, what he needed to do. And Netrex just holding on to top 9 position with both cars, despite a messy race for both of them. I think Smith and Watson be hoping the reverse grid draw puts them in a better position then, and they can maybe get a few more points in race 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I just hope it was maybe the opening day jitters, but they can try again in the reverse grid sprint. And for the moment, we will take a quick break, but stay tuned. We'll be right back for that second race here in FS1. And we're back just in time for our sprint race formation lap. I hope you all enjoyed our very, very first showing in FS1 for the brand new season in 2024. So we're straight back to the action, Ed. We'll summarise the grid, starting with the victor of the reverse grid draw. It is none other than Harry Smith. So yeah, Federico Russo, Tylene and Lucchini in the top 4 as well. So strong showing for Alpha Delta, Ed.
Absolutely. And here's the next row 3. Mike Quint and Frank Hamming ahead of Saracino and Ivanov.
Yeah, so race 1 winner, Ivanov, now down to 8th place, but he won't be discouraged. He showed a lot of amazing pace from that pole position, and he'll keep working away to see if he can pull off some overtakes with Watson, Mulling, Klont and Dabrowski, 9th through 12th. Then in the points paying positions, it's Koenig, Sellers and Zubinski. Jack Nichols just outside there in 16th for the Kings Racing team. His teammate Scott Mitchell-Malm in 17th. Tom Satterley worked his way up the grid from the back in 18th. Then we have the Parallax Volpinos together 19th and 20th. Rorschach ahead of Becky's. Daniel Scott in 21st ahead of Wopke Hoekstra. David De Vries and Isaac Clark there, the unlucky Clark, will have to pick himself up from 24th. And then the remaining drivers did not see the checkered flag in race 1. So Spillo and Mitchell together at 25th, 26th. Archie Mowat and Jonas Abler, 27th and 28th. And down the back, we'll hope to see Justin van der Smissen and the Sandro Van Sand 100-to-1 car also get a bit further in to the race. So Harry Smith just rounding the final pair of corners now. Prost for turn 15 and then turn 16 without a name. So this is Netrex's chance to perhaps put the nerves behind them. They've got a second chance here with Harry Smith on pole position, and then Watson, perhaps he will get a better launch this time and defend what he's got. Oh, and Smith went a little bit too far forward there, so he will back up into his correct grid slot there. So no
the
penalty.
ultra pole rather than the regular pole, Eoin. But
Yeah,
Amari Watson, interestingly, trying to go on the soft tyres for the start. Everyone else ahead of him on the hards.
Yeah, so it is likely that they'll want to go pit stop free, go from flag to flag without any risk of a pit stop. So let's see if the soft tire strategy deployed by Watson, Dabrowski and Zubinski is worth it. 5 red lights for the second time this evening, and we're off. Can Russo gain the lead? No, he certainly can't. It's a brilliant launch for Smith. We do have one of the Rorschach in the pit lane start. He must have taken the penalty. And now Tylene, I think, has taken 3rd place from Quint. So Tylene defending himself nicely. Great start for him. But it is all about Harry Smith in the lead.
Yeah, and I got the tyre readings completely wrong, obviously. As you can see on screen, it's Harry Smith and Federico Russo both on the soft tyres, I think. And those behind, I think... oh, no, wait, I did have it right. It's changed back now.
Yes, yeah, I've fallen for that before.
It is top 6 all on the hards. Saracino is our first on the softs, and then it is Watson as well. But Ivanov, interestingly, in 8th, is opting for the hards.
Yeah, it is interesting to see if Ivanov can win the race again, taking on the hard tire strategy. I'm perhaps unsure about the graphic on screen. Maybe it will update itself.
Lucchini all over Quint.
Yes, this is the battle for 4th. Can Lucchini find the gap while there's still no DRS in place? So Ivanov just casually sitting in P8. He's not going to make any moves on Saracino thus far, but Hamming will want to get a little bit of retribution after race 1, where he lost that 2nd position to Saracino. And there we go, lap 1 is in the books, and Harry Smith has pulled out half a second of a lead on Russo, and Tylene another half a second back himself, or maybe 6/10 to be more exact.
Yep, Lucchini fastest in the middle sector. Perhaps that's just with the toe from the back of Mike Quint, but Harry Smith fastest in the first and final sector, of course. So Netrex, if they stay out, this is a non-stop race for the top 8 then, with them all on the hard tyres. Omari Watson, Dabrowski, Zabinski, the highest soft tire runners at the moment. So Watson could be making a move on Ivanov if he can get close enough. So we're going to see whether Victor Ivanov can defend from Omari Watson. Now he's finally got the race 1 winner in his clutches, as he would probably have loved to do in race 1. As look at this, Filin trying to go around the outside of Russo for P2 here. So KKR really fighting for a genuine podium here, and Matthew McKinnon will be loving this.
Yeah, the overjoy, or the emotions, he'd be pretty overjoyed to get a result like this in his native Australia. But yeah, the Swede here, Super Swede in 3rd place, just probably getting a feel for the tires after that opening launch. So yeah, we should now have DRS activated for our 3rd DRS zone. It would be officially in place. So crossing the line again, Smith, new fastest lap. Russo's kept him. I know it's actually now Quint with fastest laps. Yeah, a lot of drivers in the 126.8, but Quint gets the extra 1/10 of a second to perform the fastest lap in this early going. Let's see now if anything changes as we head through sector 1. Ivanov still sitting comfortably in 8th. There's no attack from Watson just yet.
Well, even if Watson does start to attack, Ivanov's going to get a lovely tow from the back of Saracino here. So, oh, and he's going to go completely off track there. That will destroy his exit. So this is the opportunity now for Omari Watson as they approach turn 11.
Yeah, Watson must make this count. He's got the soft tires. He's got the inside line. Just needs that bit of DRS to make 100% sure. And there you go. A crucial gain for Watson. And his race truly begins now. He can push on those soft tires. Tyling to the inside of Russo, into Ascari, the 90-degree right-hander, and he's made it count. Russo will be a little bit upset that he had to cut up some grass there, but it's a fair pass, and Tyling will try and push on and go for Harry Smith, who's now clear by over a second. Here comes Quint as well, Ed.
Yeah, Luca Filin left just enough space for Federico Russo on the outside there, but no more than he absolutely needed to, with Russo putting a little bit on the grass, because of course Luca Filin had to make the corner ahead, so he couldn't just go right to the inside there and play nice. So Luca Filin definitely pushing on, and now Harry Smith is next target. So Luca Filin now fighting potentially for a first ever race win, and only his second race in FS1 as a KKR driver. So although that experience from the back end of last year really coming in handy as he sets a purple first sector, does Luca Filin. Meanwhile, we watch Robin Mulling, having been right in the thick of the battle for the top 10 at the end of the first race, now trailing Menno Klont and holding off the 2 Hyperions at Dabrowski, Zabinski, both, of course, on the soft tyres as Mike Quint now fancies a go at Russo. Oh, and that's brave Mike. Round the outside goes the Dutchman at turn 11 and 12. Oh, it doesn't get a great exit, though.
Yeah, it was silky and effective, so well done to Mike Quint. He's on the podium, but he's got to really jog on now, because Tyleen is a second clear. It's going to be mighty close, as of course. Yeah, there we go. The fact that Tyleen has a little bit of dirty air from the net wrecks of Smith, it will give Quint the extra 1/10 of a second he needed, and he has DRS again. So into lap 5 we come, and yeah, there we go. Tyleen sets another fastest. Yeah, it will count this time, as oh no, Watson takes it away as I speak. So Watson now gearing up for more attacks with the runner-up in race 1, Saracino, the next competitor for him, half a second up the road. But watch out for this battle for the lead. Tyleen wants it desperately.
Yeah, the problem is Harry Smith, after doing such a great job helping out Omari Watson in the first race, he'd really love his help here. So he's really just got to hold on long enough for Omari to potentially make a few moves. But Watson, of course, will have to probably make another stop, because I don't think realistically the soft tyres are going to be able to last all 19 laps. They were dropping off after about 15 or 16 laps in race 1, weren't they? So unless you're doing some extreme saving near the end, it's going to be a bit of a rock and a hard place. Let's look at Filin swerving all over the back of Harry Smith here. So Smith will have to be very, very canny how he exits some of these corners and try to back Luca Filin into Mike Quint, who is going to fancy his chances of winning this race. He is, of the top 5, is the only race winner in there.
That's right. Yeah, they're not really making the gains so far. Lucchini, I suppose, up 2 places, and having up 1 as a consequence. Oh no, sorry. Yeah, Hamming still ahead of Saracino, I should say. Still we go, and that's a good run for Russo in the Alpha Delta, and yeah, it is a case of 4 drivers in contention early doors. Let's see if Russo gets a better run. Yeah, this looks certainly enticing for him, I should say. Yeah, he will gain a better launch into the long run down to turn 11. So after this, the sort of mini chicane, they'll get going full throttle from about this point on.
Yeah, the problem for Amari Watson on the softs, and it's a similar issue for Dabrowski and Zabinski in the Hyperions, is that the only way that Amari Watson got past Eoin was through that mistake here, as we see Filan gets another great run on Harry Smith, but again just sort of runs out of top speed and runs out of road before he inevitably has to turn in to turn 11 there. So Luca Filan, if he can't get through Harry Smith, he may have to worry more about Mike Quint taking advantage of Harry Smith delaying him at the end of the DRS zone there, because that creates an opportunity for the Multiforce GP driver.
Yes, it certainly does. And of course Russo is similar enough, so yeah, Quint can he can react to Tylene's braking and accelerating as much as possible. Of course, Russo behind also needs to be given alertness as well. He won't want to be plowed into the back of out of a pure accident. But now we check out Robin Mulling. He's got Menno Klont in the other Multiforce backing up the pack here. But of course, Dabrowski will want to use his soft tires to the benefit here, and his teammate Zabinski is giving him some backup ahead of Mitchell, Malm and Sadderly.
Yeah, I haven't talked about Savily much, but he's actually had a really good stint to get into that final points paying position in 15th, holding off Bradley Sellers by 0.6 of a second as he keeps Scott Mitchell-Malm very, very honest indeed, and trying to stay in this fight with the Hyperions, who they know are probably going to have to pit before the end of this race. As look at this, Dabrowski gets a great run around the outside, and Robin Mulling forces him to go the long way round, and Dabrowski indeed thinks better of that.
Yeah, it's a little bit too soon. Wide goes Mitchell-Malm. Similar incident to what we saw with Nichols. Maybe Satherley could take advantage. This would be an incredible outside line move. No, Mitchell-Malm resists, but it could come down to the left-hander of Prost. Yes, Mitchell-Malm has the inside line now. The Kiwi, Satherley won't give up, and unfortunately may left himself exposed to Sellers. Bradley Sellers on the outside, not able to make it either, but that has cost Satherley a bit of time, and Sellers will have to push on and try again.
You could see Sellers get really, really excited, was Bradley, just when he saw Tom losing control at the penultimate corner there, and he tried to go right around the outside through 16, but unfortunately it wasn't. There was a little bit of a wall in the way, so he couldn't quite pull that one off. As we look back here, there's a great fight for 22nd position here between Van der Smissen in the VMS Sun Edits, Jonas Abler, and Christos Villo, of course, for KKR. So while his teammate is fighting for the lead, Svillo is fighting to try and get into the top 20 here, and he's got Daniel Scott in the second of the rookie monsters, keeping him pretty honest indeed. So this is good defensive driving from a Justin Van der Smissen, of course. And oh, we go, Luca Filan takes the lead.
Yes, let's move straight over to our lead battle. Tylene has done it. So Harry Smith.
Must have been with the DRS into 11.
Yeah, that would have been incredible to pull that off, especially for the lead battle. And Smith, yeah, he's got to keep his composure. Otherwise, Mike Quint will catch the slides witnessed by the Netrex, and he'll just glide past. So yeah, Quint has backed off for the time being. We'll be straight on the power now. So Lucas Tylene is our new race leader. He's taken the lead on lap 8. Now we're into lap 9. So Smith held on for about a quarter of this, or a third of this sprint, and now he's got to try and win back. He's got DRS now. Yeah, he has DRS for the first time. And the race is going for the outside.
Oh, that's a brave move. And Harry Smith pulls it off there. So Luca Filan could not pull enough of a gap in the last sector and first sector of this lap to prevent being attacked with the DRS there. And Harry Smith had just enough room to go all the way around the outside. And thank you very much. The lead is mine again. And Luca Filan will have to regroup and try again. This is what he did before with the DRS coming into turn 11. Can he pull it off this time?
Oh, he's there. He's given the required space by Smith, and he has done it. So that's a wonderful battle for the lead. 2 lead changes between the top 2 in only a handful of corners, and that looks like a much better exit compared to what we saw previously. And Quint to the inside. No, it's just a little bit too much for him. And Harry Smith has a small reprieve.
Mike Quint, because he's going to see Luca Filan escape up the road. He's got the pace to win this one. If only he could get past Harry Smith. That is really what's deciding this one right now.
Yeah, so Smith, he probably is the catalyst to the outcome of the race, because if Quint can get through with 10 laps to go, he would be well worth putting a few quid on to go all the way because of how experienced he is. And that looks like a slip for Licini, and unfortunately having, by virtue of not being involved in now, Saraceno's been hit.
Oh, somehow Saracino survived with front wing intact, but Ivanov gratefully slips his way through, and Licini continuing without his front wing. So that is surely going to be a trip to the pit lane for the Alpha Delta driver, and a really, really unfortunate incident. You could see Harmon got alongside into turn 1 as he's desperately trying to get out of everyone's way. There goes Menno Klont and Robin Mulling, and then the 2 Hyperions. But yeah, that was just a case of Frank Harmon got right behind. He was the first on the scene. Licini spun, and unfortunately Saracino just couldn't have avoided him in time. As side by side go Quint and Harry Smith, and Quint once again in this race goes round the outside as he gets up to P2, and now Russo fancies to go at both of them really if Harry Smith can't get counter-attack here into 14 and 15.
No, it seems like Smith has no available return serves there. So Quint will pull away just about the nick of time, kept within Tylene's 1 second range. Maybe it could come down to a fraction based on the DRS activation line. So Zubinski now, he'll be buoyed by the fact that 2 big name drivers have fallen by the wayside, and he can get a 1v1 against Klont, who is of course trying to keep up with Mulling. He has done enough for the moment, but we will observe and see what else could possibly happen. But yeah, definitely much better turns 1 and 2 for Klont. So he's pulled clear of Zabinski by about a car length.
Yeah, and look at Dabrowski, he's lost a few places as well. So perhaps the softs are starting to go past their best, although Watson very much keeping Frank Hamming honest at the moment. Only a tenth slower than him in the first sector at the moment, and this is perhaps where Victor Ivanov could come back at the pair of them. But here is Watson as we see yellow in the first sector as Lucchini gets back to the pits. Isaac Clarke pitting now as well, despite starting on the harder tyres. So something must have happened to the pits late for the second race in a row, as Hamming is it's the fastest middle sector of the race behind Federico Russo. So yeah, Harry Smith could still back these 2 into Watson, but can the softs make it to the end? It's going to be a big ask, isn't it, Eoin, on Omari Watson's car? I have a feeling he might have to pit again for softs and have a glory run in the last couple of laps, unless he wants to get really conservative here. But yeah, Luca Filan, 1.1 seconds to Mike Quint up front.
Yeah, it's still mighty close there. We can see Tylene using the double movement, but I suppose he's got enough distance to Quint to make sure it's not anything out of order. But this looks really impressive now for Quint. It won't be an overtake just yet. He's perhaps 1 or 2 better corners away from an attack. But yeah, of course, Watson, he has the gap behind compared to Ivanov, but with the tyres likely to wear down in a few laps' time, he may have to get some intel, find a gap in the track, perhaps down to Svillo. That's probably the gap he could fill in after a pit stop and then go all out. So he'll have a lot of communication with his team to see what strategy can be played. And now Quint to the outside line into turn 11. Has he got the 4 wheels ahead? He does. Beautiful onboard shot there. And Mike Quint is the newest race leader here in this Australian sprint in FS1. So what a fantastic event after the pure domination we saw from Viktor Ivanov.
Yeah, and Ivanov is actually 1.8 seconds behind Watson now, and but he has pulled the gap across to Saracino, who I'm surprised this car is still going in this race, because it looked like he got some pretty heavy damage from Lucchini crashing into him there as he spun a full 360 degrees down the straight in between turns 2 and 3. But Saracino still holding on from Robin Mulling in the background, and he's going to have to fight quite hard. As look at Quint starting to get confident, starting to pull the gap that he needs to potentially win this race and start off his season just like he started off last season, where he had that amazing first half of the season, never off the podium, and could be a second career victory in FS1 for Mike Quint after he took his first, so long ago it feels like, my first FS1 commentary at the Nürburgring in race 2 there.
Yeah, it feels like an eternity ago, but it was back in the summer of last year, so not that long ago either. We'll check out Frank Hamming, who finished P2 in this race 2 event last season. He wants to move on Russo. He's got the inside, just needs to pull across and take the ideal racing line, and he certainly has done it. So Frank Hamming on the hunt for 2 podiums in the opening round of the season. He's just got one more position to gain, and he will be P3 and P3 for his opening efforts.
Yeah, Harry Smith has got his work cut out to keep Frank Hamming behind, who's really been making good progress here from 6th on the grid. But have a look at Ivanov, fastest lap of the race, 1:25.9. He's pushing to get within DRS of Omari Watson as Archie Moat in his first weekend in FS1 driver for 100 to 1, running down in 24th and last of those still running, gets a penalty. So that's bad news for him. He was already 20 seconds down though on Lucchini, so Archie Moat just struggling to get to the end of this one.
Yes, indeed. So I think the 100 to 1 team were perhaps just celebrating the fact that they completed some racing laps here in race 2. So it's a case of taking the medicine, the bitter medicine, and trying again in 2 weeks' time.
There he is. That's Archie trying to get out of the way of the leaders there. Getting in Harry Smith's way a bit.
Yeah, he just needs to find a safe place to pull over.
Giving Harry DRS as well, crucially.
Oh, he is giving a bit of DRS. Hamming will be concerned about that, not for the first time, having a slow car just appear in front of him, and why? That's Tylene. He's going to lose out to Smith. So there we go. Tylene has fallen from 3rd to 5th.
There was a green rear wing at the side of turn 11 as well. I wonder if that was maybe from Hoekstra earlier in the other HGP, or perhaps one of the other cars out there as well has come to grief somewhere. But that's a big incident. It might have been Van der Smissen in the VMS actually, who's just retired. So that's a big shame, and a big shame for Phylane as well, because he's off the podium now, with Frank Hamming sneaking through as well.
Yes, indeed. So I'll correct myself. From 2nd to 4th, he's fallen. But Russo will want to make my statement correct by attacking Tylene for that P4, but he's not going to get it. It's a Watson opportunity here. Hamming, though, wants to get Smith back down to the bottom rung of the podium. And so far, Smith, now that he's perhaps rejuvenated by that unexpected gain, he's going to push on for these remaining 5 laps and go as hard as he can to get this huge result for Netrex on his first appearance for the team since he joined with Pixelite and Rowan experience in 2023.
Crucial move for Frank Hamming now. Needs to clear Harry Smith so he can focus on catching Mike Quick. Goes round the outside, completes the move right before the corner arrives. And that was beautifully timed by the HGP. Frank Hamming, the Dutchman, free to chase his fellow countrymen for the win here in Australia.
Yeah, we'll be hearing the Dutch national anthem in all probability as things stand. But Smith and Tylene, they'll want to try and get a bit of the bubbly to conclude our racing action in FS1 for this evening. But of course, Russo and Alpha Delta will have the belief to try and go all the way. Getting on board now with the Alpha Delta. He's got that overspeed, 280 kilometers per hour, just on the cusp. There it is. Now he's got to yield there, turn 1. You've got to be 4 wheels side by side to make that move count. So So he rightly relents, and he'll try again with, of course, even off just behind Watson here in the battle for 6th and 7th.
Yeah, this is where we find out how well Omari Watson has preserved those soft tyres, because Ivanov is desperately going to be pushing those hards to get revenge. Remember that mistake that Ivanov made as he goes again wide on his entry into 6th and 7 to try and just absolutely wring the neck of the car, get every little advantage he can as they go down this straight with the DRS at the end of it. And luckily for Omari Watson, he gets it from the back of Federico Russo, but unfortunately Viktor Ivanov, we know how absolutely relentless he can be from his previous races in R Factor 2. Here's the battle for 14th place. Philip Koenig trying to go around the outside of Dabrowski, whose soft tyres have started to completely fade. And look at that, so much more confidence on the Griffon. Oh, and he pushes Dabrowski off track there. That could be a bit naughty.
Yeah, it perhaps was Koenig's corner, but yeah, the fact that the gravel trap is just so close, yeah, there's very little that can be done. Yeah, I'd imagine the tyres giving up on Dabrowski, that will give Tom Satterley the opportunity to go for the final points. Yeah, the no-stop strategy on softs seemed like it was the only choice for those drivers who gambled, but yeah, it is now starting to backfire in Dabrowski's case. Maybe Zabinski in 11th can carry the mantle for Hyperion. And then, of course, Watson in 6th place.
He's got Bradley Sellers behind him as Zabinski. And Bradley Sellers has had a really good race gaining positions here, as we see Jack Nichols desperately fighting Luke Mitchell for 16th in the background. And yeah, Ivanov, again, look, Omari Watson started to copy him by running as wide as he can. So the tyre's starting to fade, the grip's starting to go.
Mitchell,
and that's
Dabrowski out of the race.
Oh
Something
dear,
happened.
So Mitchell out for the second race in a row. Not the way he would want to start this season.
Yeah, so Dabrowski couldn't carry on any further, I'm afraid. 2 DNFs, seemingly separate to one another. But yeah, Nichols in 16th, he will be devastated if he ends up with nothing for 2 16th positions. But yeah, we'll check out the Lunark here. The momentum is on his side. And Zabinski trying his best on the weary soft tyres. Maybe the switcheroo will pay off here. No, oh, that's left a gap, and Mitchell Malm, he's got the double. Mitchell Malm is now 11th out of absolutely nothing, and on the inside comes Sellers anyway.
Oh, goodness me. So the soft's completely dying, and Paul Zabinski was just a roadblock there, and a very, very grateful Scott Mitchell Malm inherits that 11th position. Some great car placement and opportunism there to take advantage of that one. As we see now, Luca Filin, a little bit of inexperience, desperately trying to hold on to that 4th position. This would still be a great result for KKR, but Federico Russo is very, very keen to nick it off him in these last 2 laps.
That indeed is the case. He's just got to keep going and going. See what.
Personal best lap for Russo.
Yeah, he is really strong going. A personal best, 126.2. So he will be encouraged by that. Tylene, perhaps he's got to back off a little bit, make sure the KKR team celebrates some points after an encouraging race 1. They'll be egging him on. Just make sure if you're going to go for the podium, don't put all your eggs in one basket and dive in. So only go for the move if it's a calculated one and you can make it stick. So yeah. Oh, in the gravels, Koenig now rejoining the track after a mistake at turn 12, and that would be Ballas Becky's, I think. He's a lap down.
He's a lap down on all of them. So Jack Nichols quite a way down, 12 seconds behind Koenig. So it seems like there's been a lot of mistakes at the bottom end of the points then, as we are now on the final lap. And Luca Filin gets DRS behind Harry Smith, who's just starting to drop beyond a second behind Frank Hamming, which will create an opportunity for Luca Filin then on this final lap. Then can KKR sneak a home podium? How dearly Matthew McKinnon would want that to happen, but Harry Smith desperate to save Netrex's bacon here after starting on that reversed grid pole, desperate to make the most of it and defend for his life here.
Yeah, he just needs to hang on for another half a lap. The overtaking point at Ascari is probably the best point. We know what Tylene can do around here. Will he go for it? Oh,
Yes,
he will. Don't collide, whatever you do. Oh, fantastic. Tylene's made it, and here comes Russo on the extra approach. He'll go the high line. He'll break as late as he can. 3 wide. It's a 13. And it's Smith again. Now it's Tylene again. Two changes in just a fraction of a second. Tylene has made it stick. An unbelievable pass here, Ed, but across the line is coming the race 2 winner, Mike Quint. Mike Quint's going to win.
Oh, fabulous driving then from Mike Quint and Frank Herring and Luca Fallen to snatch that podium at the death. Harry Smith did everything he could to take it back, though, but nearly let Russo through. And I think Russo's hit trouble right at the end as he run out of fuel.
Oh, no.
Because he's dropped down to P7. And that allows Omari Watson somehow getting the soft tyres to last all 19 laps to finish in P5. So great recovery from the Brit there.
That is astonishing. And yeah, keeping those soft tyres alive, that was no mean feat.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's going to be one heck of a...
Steering on Jack Nichols's car looks horrible at this pace.
Yeah, he's definitely crabbing. Look at the wheel. He's definitely damaged suspension somewhere earlier in the sprint race, but he'll be perhaps relieved to make it to the end. And there's Svilo. So KKR, while they will be jumping for joy in the pits, they will have to consolidate their teammate Svilo, give him a few words of encouragement. It's a tough day for him, but he'll be back, I'm sure, in the next fortnight. But yeah, KKR, similar enough to what we saw from MS Performance. What a fantastic start for some of these brand new teams that have worked their way up either from FS2 promotion or being built from scratch. Absolutely incredible.
Ooh, car number 69, you have a front wing missing. At least the back's okay. But poor Svillo there had a bit of a rough one there.
And there we go. Oh, he's going to just deliberately crash it to avoid the indignity, I suppose. But let's wrap
more
up
dignified somehow?
Well, it saves him the bother just trundling. So, I don't know. Donuts there for Mike Quint, and it's well deserved. He worked his guts off to make that win count from the reverse grid. Frank Hamming, again, he's just so close, and yet it doesn't seem to work out for him, but he is probably in contention for the championship after these 2 races, so well done to him. And Lucas Tylene, another round 1 special from him. If you think back to Imola last season, I think it was FS2, he pulled off an incredible outside line pass in that race, so he got himself a big result there. Harry Smith and Omari Watson, relieved after race 1, went a bit awry. 4th and 5th place for Netrex. That's pretty good going. Victor Ivanov, he just kept it steady here in race 2. He didn't need to take any massive gambles, and he will conclude his debut with 1st and 6th. The top 10 from 7th to 10th, we Federico Russo, Giuseppe Saracino, of course, who got hit but recovered. Menno Klont, solid and consistent job from him. And Robin Mulling, another outstanding new entry to 2024, getting a more haul of points. Scott Mitchell-Mam pulled off that incredible double in the 3rd to last corner. Beautifully done there to get 11th place. Bradley Sellers, Matthew Sabinski, Tom Satterley, and Philip Koenig complete the top 15 that are awarded with points. Jack Nichols, what can you say? No points for him at all, but he came mighty close. David De Vries for VMS Sun Edits, he got himself a finish this time. Christer Svillo with a broken front wing decided I didn't want to finish the cooldown lap. He's 18th. And Balazs Becky's lap down, he's classified 19th. But a lot of chaos struck Luke Mitchell there. He's the first DNF. I think it was a failure on his end. I don't think he crashed, but we'll confirm for sure in the debrief. Matthews Dabrowski, he burnt up his tires and he couldn't make the end, so that's really unfortunate for him in Hyperion. Mirko Lucchini had that crash. He DNF'd, unfortunately. Justin van der Smissen in the other VMS Sun Edits also feeling a bit down. Didn't really get going today. Archie Mowat for 100 to 1. More misery for that brand new team, though, but they'll try again next time out. Patrick Roshak, similar story. He didn't get going. Isaac Clark, more disappointment for
Here, Isaac
himself.
Clarke had another screen freeze. That's why.
Screen freeze, that explains it. Thank you, Ed. So he'll have to try and figure out what to do at the end of the day to try and stop that from happening. The other pick slate, of course, Jonas Abler. No finish for him. Daniel Scott, Wopke Hoekstra, and Sandro van Sand also DNFing in a chaotic sprint race. So there we go. Let's take one breath. Drivers who want to come forward for an interview are ready. So yeah, Ed, what do you think of our first race of 2024?
Well, the first two races then, like you say, great to have two new teams doing very, very well in KKR, of course, with that podium here. And of course, Ivanov MS Performance winning the first race as well from a dominant pole position, just beautifully managed it. I thought Saracino actually did very well to hold on to that 8th in this race. Even though Russo got through, he did keep Menoclon at bay despite the car looking horribly crabbed there. And it's a shame Matthew McKinnon was waiting in the interview room. I was hoping we'd get to talk to him, but now it's empty completely. So I'll have to feel a bit more about the race. I thought Nerek's 4th and 5th. Harry Smith defended about as well as he could have, and Watson doing well to keep those soft alive. So a better race too, I think, for Netrek. So they'll be pleased with that. And Mike Quint, of course, getting his second career win. I don't know. I just got a feeling in the back of my head this might be Mike Quint's year if things work out for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet against him if this is a sign of things to come. He's put away the nightmares of the year gone by, and he can focus with a fresh outlook in 2024. We do have Matthew back in the interview waiting room. Justin van der Smissen there as well. It would make sense to talk to the local lad who's had his driver reach the podium. So let's talk to the team manager, Matthew. Matthew, can you hear us?
Good evening.
That's a very good evening from our side of the world. So you must be absolutely thrilled with the performance of Tylene in race 2 in particular today.
Yeah, it's actually really nice to start the season off really strong. I think, especially with how we started FS2 a little bit weak last year, it's great to be starting off with a really strong point.
Yeah, so how did you feel the jump up from FS2 to FS1 has treated you so far as one of the 3 teams that got the invite to FS1 for the new year?
It's a different experience. It's still a fun experience. Definitely a lot more long nights for me with my drivers, and then looking ahead, a lot more longer nights with one of my drivers.
Oh,
No prizes for guessing which one that might be, unfortunately.
No, it's the driver lineup we decided was, of course, I'm still quite confident with it. I think it still can go a long way, but it's just a matter of making sure we get those results in.
Oh, indeed, back both of your drivers pre-season, didn't you, Eoin? So actually,
did, yeah, I said
you've been at least partially vindicated today.
Yeah. Yeah. So I suppose what would the fact that you've got the podium in the bag so soon, would you be targeting even more high results, or do you think a nice midfield finish for the first season would be sufficient? What would you prefer?
I think for this year, it's really nice to see that Lucas is competing in the top 6, where we saw in race 1 and race 2. And I think if we can keep that consistent with him across the entire season, that'd be extremely splendid. And then with Christers maybe getting up in the top 15, top 10, it'd be good to see us like high midfield. Midfield would be all right, and then to progress into year 2.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense to me. But the main thing is that you savor this evening. It couldn't have gone much better with that spectacular ending in race 2. So and make sure you get the drivers together and have a nice evening, or in your case, I suppose, an early morning, and enjoy yourselves.
Thank you very much.
I suppose, Ed, we should get Mike Quint in, race 2 winner this time. Hello, Mike. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So from myself, first of all, congratulations on the victory in race 2. Would you mind talking about how that went for you, for example?
Yeah, thank you very much. Well, I think starting off, I knew that it was going to be difficult following each other and overtaking because it was probably going to be a DRS train. So for the first couple laps, I was trying to save a bit of tires, even though it was difficult because you still have to keep up with the train. But eventually, I think it was lap 7, lap 8, I decided I had to go for it. And few overtakes around the outside, turn 9, 10. That felt quite good. And then I think a bit lucky that Lucas made a slight mistake, so I could break the DRS. And from there on out, I was trying to maintain the gap.
Yeah, so it was a case that once you got the lead, it looked like you'd never give it up. But I suppose you would have maybe noticed that Tylene made a small error out of turn 12, and maybe that distraction gave you that extra boost that you needed to seal the win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it was very close, and then he made that mistake. I was like, okay, now I have to go, because otherwise, yeah, this is it. This is the chance to break it. And I guess that worked out perfectly on my end.
Mike, were you worried about Frank Hamming in P3, obviously in race 1, and closing you down a little bit near the end, or did you think that Frank was coming too late and you had him covered?
No, I was definitely looking at him because he was 1.8 seconds back. I saw on the Delta, and I thought, oh well, I don't know how much faster he is, but my tires were not very good anymore. So I was definitely looking at the gap and seeing if I had to speed up. But he came close towards the end, but it was just too late. But no, I wasn't 100% sure on it. But yeah, I guess it worked out.
Yeah, I suppose a final question from me. Jeddah in 2 weeks, I believe. So do you think that track would suit your needs and you could possibly get another victory?
Yeah, well, we have to wait and see. Pace today looked quite good. It was higher than I expected it to be, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens in the next few races. It can always change around, so we'll have to just keep practicing and keep working on it.
Exactly, but yeah, much to build upon for yourself and Menno for this opening salvo, Mike. But again, congratulations and see you in 2 weeks.
Yep, thank you very much.
Wouldn't Harry Smith be worth to drop in, see how he feels about the race?
I think he might be, Eoin. Let's see.
Hello, Harry. Congratulations on first showing for Netrex. How do you think you got on today?
I think I did okay. Race 2 was pretty decent. Race 1 qualifying could have gone a bit better, but I mean, I was ill all of last week and my PC died last Friday. So to be honest, I mean, I was pretty happy just to make the grid at this point. So yeah.
Wow, that's certainly a shock to me. You performed very well given the compromised prep you had for the race. But I suppose the negatives of race 1, I think Omari got a poor getaway and that put both of you under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I think we made contact, but I mean, it was minimal damage. I mean, you say that, I mean, I was able to put in a good showing because considering the amount of prep that I had, but that's all thanks to the work that Omari and the whole team behind us put in. Without them, I'd certainly be a lot further back. And if I would have liked to have switched with Omari if we'd have had the chance at race 1 because we were 8th and 9th, and then he would have got reverse grid pole, and then we probably would have. Well, he probably would have won the race considering.
He did make that decision to go on the softs, didn't he, in race 2, which he somehow managed to get to the end, which I'm still amazed by, and finishing right behind you. But yeah, in race 1, that was an interesting situation because he was stuck behind Isaac Clark, having undercut to try and make up for, obviously, the collision with, I think it was Russo earlier in race 1, where there was a bit of contact with Russo being put in the wall. I don't suppose you had a good view of that incident, did you, Harry?
To be honest, like after all the chaos in both races, I mean, I don't really remember much of the start. I mean, it's quite a congested turn 1, to be honest, and I'll have to watch it back. It'll make for good viewing later on, I think.
Yeah, indeed. I suppose the target for Netrex in some in the minds of some would be a championship tilt. But yeah, Jeddah in 2 weeks. Do you, with proper preparation, I suppose, if all goes to plan, do you think another solid showing will be on the cards?
well, that's the aim. As long as we keep putting in the work, we'll the results will come. There's only so much we can control. The things that we can control, and the things we can't control, then whatever happens happens. So that's the plan.
Yeah, I like the enthusiasm, and yeah, hopefully all goes to script for you in 2 weeks' time. So thanks for your
Thank
nice words, Harry, and see you again soon.
See you.
Get well
Bye.
soon, Harry.
Thank you.
I suppose, yeah, we've time for Justin van der Smissen for a quick chat.
From VMS, of course. Difficult day for him. Let's see what he has to say.
Hi, Justin. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good. So I suppose that was a tough outing for you today. What do you think on your side, how that went?
Yeah, didn't really go as planned. Race 1, started I think P26, and then on the first lap in the fast chicane, someone gone wide into the barrier. He just spins back right on the track, and there was no way of avoiding it.
Must have been Sandra Van
yeah.
Sand, the 100 to
Yeah,
1.
probably. It was one of the 100 to 1s, yeah. But yeah, there was just no way to avoid it. Which is just bad luck. Then second race, just had a bad strategy. Wanted to try and do soft to maybe try and gain a lot of positions in the beginning, and then make some time up again in the second stint. But small mistake cost me like 1 minute of damage in the end, and said, yeah, what's the point in running last with maybe a whole lap behind, you know? So yeah, right now it's just getting my head back together, focus on the next round, and see what we can do there.
I have to say,
Yeah.
Justin, you did get some time on stream in race 2 when you were defending. I think it was 22nd, quite early on. I forget who you were fighting with, but I did remark you were driving really well in terms of defensive driving on the soft tires. So I think credit to you. So it wasn't a completely wasted day, even though it was
Yeah.
ended in 2 retirements. You did get a little
Yeah,
bit of fame, at least for
got a
15
lit-
minutes.
Yeah, got a bit of valuable data out of the car. See what we can do in the setup for next round. But I must say the field was really close today. I mean, in qualifying, 30 cars within 1.5 seconds of each other. I don't think that was the same like last season, nor in FS1 or FS2. But yeah, just need to get our heads back in the game, and hopefully next round will be a bit better.
Yeah, without a doubt, we all hope for the best for yourself and VMS on edits. I suppose, yeah, not the ideal start, but yeah, there's a lot of racing still to do, Justin. So I wish you the best of luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Cheers, Justin.
And that should be everybody who's come forward for a chat. That's the conclusions of the broadcast, Ed. I'm sure that will go down as a successful opening for FS1. And indeed, the first week of FS1 and FS2 is in the books.
Yeah, exactly. And even after both races, so many picks for the title that you could still feasibly go for. Obviously, Victor Ivanov stands out, but so does Giuseppe Zaracino, Frank Hamming, Mike Quint winning race 2. Perhaps even the likes of Luca Filin, Harry Smith, Omari Watson can get in the game as well if they can get some good results under their belts. So, and we just talked to Justin from VMS. They've probably not shown the very best of what they can do yet either. So, lots to come, I think, in this season. And plenty of twists and turns. The next one, of course, being the Jeddah circuit in Saudi Arabia in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't get to see that race on camera last year because of a hardware problem, but hopefully my first experience of FS1 at Jeddah will be much more enjoyable in 2024. So I'm really looking forward to it already. But for everyone who's tuned in to the broadcast today, from Remco to Zeeuw on the broadcast cameras, from Ed Hunter and myself, Eoin Harmon, it's good night. Thank you for watching.